Okay, finally, something that looks a little bit different. So before we go on to this next type of question, I just want to back up to question 3, 4, and 5. In question 3, 4, and 5, because we had a y isolated, we substituted. In question 4, because we had x isolated, we substituted. And in question number 5, because y was isolated, we used the substitution method. In question 6 and in question 7 and in question 8, they're all set up a little bit different. Specifically, I want you to notice that the x terms are lined up, the y terms are lined up, and the constant terms are lined up. And when you see them lined up, like x's over x's, y over y's, constants over constants, you want to use the elimination method. And the goal of the elimination is to cancel. So again, I'm going to be focusing on elimination, if I can spell it correctly. And I always tell my students that the goal of elimination is that you want to get opposites. And if you can get opposites, we're going to have something that will cancel. So for example, I'd like to go ahead and point out that you have 10x on the top and a negative 10x on the bottom. Those are actually opposites. So when we attempt to add these two equations together, and we will at this point because we have opposites, is that that's actually going to cancel. The 10x and the negative 10x will cancel. Now some of you are saying it could be 0x, that's fine. You could have 0, but we all know that 0 times x is 0, and if it's 0, just cancel them. It's a little bit quicker. Okay, and then negative 2y plus 9y is 7y. And then 18 minus 46, that's going to give us negative 28. Next, I'm going to go ahead and isolate y by dividing by 7 on each side. And 7 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times y simplifies to y. And then negative 28 divided by 7 is negative 4. So my y value is negative 4. All right, so now that we know that the y value is negative 4, I will substitute negative 4 back in for y, either in the top equation right here or right here. And it really doesn't matter. I think the top equation has slightly easier numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute it right here. And then I'm going to take this top equation, I'm just going to take a moment to rewrite it over here. So I have 10x minus 2, parentheses, again remember the y was there, but we stated that y equals negative 4. So negative 4 is going to get put in for y is equal to 18. After that, I'm going to distribute this negative 2 through the parentheses to negative 4, so that'll simplify to 10x plus 8 is equal to 18. Again, negative 2 times a negative 4 is a positive 8. Then we'll isolate 10x by subtracting 8 on each side of the equation. Those cancel. Again, notice you have opposites. You've actually been dealing with opposites most of the year. And the left side will simplify to 10x. On the right side, 18 minus 8 is going to leave us with a positive 10, which is kind of nice because then when I divide by 10 on each side, I'll have my x value being equal to 1. And now that I have my x value, I'm going to put 1 comma negative 4, and that's the solution to this system. So again, when you have x's lined up, y's lined up, constants, you want to look for elimination. The goal of elimination is to look for opposites. Now, in the next question, question number 7, we actually don't have opposites. But before we even start looking about that, notice x terms, y terms, constant terms. When they're lined up, use the elimination method. Now, in this case, we actually don't have opposites, but I do want to point out that right here we have a negative 8x, and underneath it we have a negative 8x. And so whenever we have something that's considered the same, the goal when you're dealing with something that's the same is you want to multiply by a negative 1. Well, technically just one of the equations. So in other words, if I multiply the top by negative 1, all right, that negative 8x is going to change into a positive 8x, which will cancel there. So again, whenever you get sames, multiply one of the equations by negative 1. Let me move that over here. Okay, and where's my eraser? Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to choose to multiply the top equation by -1. Make sure you keep it in parentheses, otherwise sometimes it'll look like you're subtracting 1. So -1 distributed to -8x is positive 8x. -1 distributed to 6y is -6y. And -1 distributed to 34 is -34. And the bottom one, we're actually going to leave that alone, because notice that when I write -8x underneath positive 8x, that's going to be a cancel. That's just going to be like in the last question where you had 10x and -10x, they're going to cancel. So I'm just going to rewrite the bottom. -8x minus 4y is equal to 44. And at this point, because we have opposites, we're going to go ahead and add those equations together. The -8x and the positive 8x will cancel. -6y subtract 4y is -10y. And then -34 plus 44 is going to give us 10. And then we'll divide by -10 on both sides. And so -10 divided by -10 is positive 1. 1 times y, we all know, simplifies to y. And then a positive 10 divided by -10 is -1. Now that I know my y value is -1, I can substitute -1 back in for y, either the top or the bottom. I think the top one's a little... No, let's do the bottom one. Let's change it. So I'm going to substitute a -1 in for y, because here we said y equals -1. And then I'll just rewrite this equation right here. So -8x minus 4, parentheses, in goes -1, is equal to 44. We'll distribute here, just like we did in the last question. Notice after we put it in there, we had to distribute -2 to -4. So in this one, I'm going to distribute -4 to -1. That's going to leave me with a positive 4. And then don't forget to bring down this -8x. So I have -8x plus 4 equals 44. Then I'll subtract 4 on each side. Again, those will cancel, they're opposites. Then I have -8x is equal to, let's see, that's positive 40. And then I'll divide by a -8 on each side. And -8 divided by -8 is positive 1. 1 times x is just x. And then 40 divided by -8 is -5. So my x value is -5, and my y value is -1. And that's how you have it. So again, just a quick summary. In question 6, we had opposites. We just added them together. In question number 7, we didn't have opposites. So what we did is we had the same. And when we have the same, we want to multiply one of the equations by -1. In this case, I multiplied the top by -1. You could have done the bottom one by -1.